It's a critical issue that it's really important you hear where we stand from a value perspective and how we approach things. It's very unclear whether TPP is going to be voted on this year before the election, probably not. After the election as part of lame duck session, quite possibly, or heading into next year. It's very unclear exactly what's going to happen. But I think there's no doubt that free trade as drawn up on an economics blackboard is not how it's worked out for American workers and American families. Yes, free trade is important for global stability. Yes, free trade is important for shared prosperity. But when the gains from free trade to our country, which has never been wealthier than it is today, are not shared broadly in the public, and we don't invest in our people to make sure that the jobs we lose are replaced with new jobs in a global economy driven by advanced skill sets that American workers can develop through investments in them, we're not going to be able to sustain the idea of free trade in America. And that's part of what's happening right now with the TPP. And that's why I do not support it. We need to have environmental standards and labor standards and human rights standards that are enforceable. Free trade does have to be fair trade. But we have not made sure as a country that when we have economic gains broadly, that they're shared broadly. That becomes a very real problem. One of the problems also is what's going to happen if TPP does not pass. And this is something that should weigh on anyone who is really serious about serving in this kind of serious seat. That if we don't pass it, the question becomes, what does China do with regard to going after those countries that could have been part of this partnership and now aren't? Is China able to use its leverage regionally to develop trade deals or trade relationships with those countries and actually isolate America from the region more? That's one of the negative consequences of just jettisoning the idea. And when you sit in the legislative seat, I'll tell you, there are plenty of times a vote comes up and you're not 100% voting yes or 100% voting no. It could be 51-49, 60-40, 80-20. You have to make a decision of one sort or another. And the issue of TPP is yet to be played out this year in the current Congress with President Obama. And there's no doubt, moving forward, we've got to make sure that we have fair trade that works for American families, American workers. It's the way it was supposed to be. That's what voters and workers deserve.